Step away from the front door. We're hitting it in. Be careful, there might be a dog. Yeah. Right there? Yeah. Michael, it's the police. Come to the door. Police here.
Good evening, patriots and liberals. This is Spencer with the MCGA channel on YouTube. Today we have the privilege to have a very special guest with us, a man who has literally laid his life down to fight for the rights of Canadian parents in Canada. He has given everything, and everything has been taken from him in order for him to fight this battle, not for himself alone, but for the rest of Canada. This man's name is Michael Jackson. He is from Saskatchewan, and we are going to bring him on the program today. We're going to have him explain to you what is really happening in Canada, the draconian measures that are coming down the pipe, and how important his case is. Right now, Michael Jackson's case is the most important criminal case in Canada. There is no exception. And so without further ado, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the program. It is an absolute honor of mine to be able to tell your story. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's an absolute privilege. So we'll get into it here quickly. But before we do, I just want to show the folks at home that there is a GiveSendGo for Mr. Jackson. He needs the funds. He puts receipts up for what he does with these funds, and these funds go directly to lawyer fees. He's fighting this battle on his own. He needs your support. I never ask anyone to donate anything to really anything. This, if you have 10 cents, $1, $10, whatever it might be, if everyone watching this supported this fund, this man would be able to get himself good legal representation and be able to fund the legal representation that he has presently. But with that being said, again, Michael, if you could just get into letting the folks at home know what started this legal battle, and we'll get into the weeds. I just want folks to know that this man was quite literally tortured in Canadian prison for fighting for Canadians, and he deserves everybody's respect and certainly deserves your support. Again, sorry, Michael, if you could just let us know how this began.
Sure. So I'm a single father. I was married to a woman here in southeast corner of Saskatchewan. I met her in late in the fall of 12. We had a little girl in April of 2014, and we were married in 2013, and it went downhill quickly. We ended up getting divorced in February of 2017. Sorry, it wasn't that. A little bit of mix up there. Sorry, we got married in the fall of 2013, and then we went on, and we had a really bad marriage, constantly fighting. She wanted to leave here. I'm in a very rural area, and when eventually she did leave, which was at Christmas in 2016, she actually kidnapped our daughter and disappeared. I had to get the police and go through ex parte orders to get a judgment to have my daughter returned. The police wouldn't enforce it. So basically we went through all the charade of that everybody else goes through, which is, bad divorce, trying to establish access and custody and all that. And finally we were divorced, and we had our custody hearing in 2018 in June in December. It's hard to remember all these dates. There's a lot. Sorry. I'm usually better than that. Anyways, come 2021, when this incident happened, we had been divorced for approximately 5 years. We had gone through custody. It was on appeal at the time. I was appealing the decision because it was a railroad. The 2-week trial for custody of our daughter was just like, it was brutal. I had no lawyer. I defended myself, but it was a very bad result. So it was actually on appeal. So in November of 2021, after all the pandemic and everything was going on, I ended up having my daughter Sarah home with me for Remembrance Day for a week, for a holiday. We had joint custody, and but her primary residence was with her mother, and they gave her final say over serious matters, but all matters to deal with our daughter were supposed to be discussed. And she never had. In the 5 years since we've been separated, we never had one single conversation about anything. She just told me it was her way and that was it. So, and if you've been through family court, you know what it's like for men these days. There's not much you can do about it. So I had been talking to her for about 6 months before that date in November about what her plans were with the jab. So, and again, she never answered a single thing. Actually, it was 8 months and it was shown in court. So for 8 months, I was messaging her on Viber, sending text messages like, what's your plan? I need to know. I don't agree with this. I was sending her doctor information about the bad things about the jab, real doctors, a Barrington Declaration, some doctors' reports. The Canada Health Agency already had out documented proof of jab injury on Health Canada's website at that time, and there were thousands that were already affected. Health Canada is different than the VAERS one from the States, but it's still injury reporting system. And there was lots of problems already for young children. There was already a couple heart attacks and it wasn't looking good. So I was getting quite desperate by the time I had her for this week, since she hadn't responded to one single thing. And I sent her letter, sent her lawyer a letter named Deborah Haid, who was her family lawyer, legal aid lawyer. And I said, listen, according to our court order, you're supposed to discuss these things with me. She's been refusing for 8 months. And you need to force your lawyer to call me and have a conversation about this jab. And the lawyer responded with, well, it's not approved yet for 5 to 11-year-olds, so we don't have any comment, which was just disgraceful. They were just stalling so that they knew that once I returned Sarah, because it was announced that weekend sort of thing that I had her, that they were close. Health Canada was close to approving the jab for 5 to 11-year-olds. So they were kind of hoping that I would just return her and she would take her and do it and it would be done. And I wasn't going to have any part of that. So then I think it was on Friday afternoon or the Saturday of that November period, I think it was the 18th of November, I got a text from her saying, I'm going to do whatever the government tells me to do. So I made a decision at that time, right then and there, that I wasn't going to return my daughter to her, and that whatever the situation was, I was going to just fight it, do whatever I could to stop it. So what happened was on that weekend, she ended up driving here, even though I told her not to. She made a scene, called the local RCMP. They're not allowed. A lot of people in Canada don't realize they're not allowed to become involved unless there's a criminal act. They have no jurisdiction over civil law in Canada, but a lot of people get intimidated by them when they show up and they this and that, where me, I know the law and I tell them to get lost. And they put up a fight, but they left. And so then I got served with documents saying that we want to put in a police clause into your custody agreement. So what that means is, like I said, since they have no, they can't act on civil matters, RCMP have to only follow a court order that says they can. So she goes back to court and she asks for an ex parte order to have the police come pick up my daughter without me even knowing. They deny her that. Then she applies to the regular, it was Queen's Bench at the time, and I get served with notice for a hearing. So the hearing is with Justice Lay, Layh, and it's over the phone because of the pandemic. Everybody's afraid. So over the phone, we have this hearing, and the other side says, I'm making it up. I'm just using this for power and control, blah, 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 blah. There's no harm. And, you know, they wouldn't even talk about the issue. Then the judge asked me for my opinion, and as soon as I told him why I wasn't returning my daughter, he said, oh, you're one of those. Well, you know that anything you say or do, the other side's just going to provide more evidence saying it's safe, and you're not going to win. So just bring her home. And then we argued a bit. And then he said to me, the worst that's going to happen to her, she's going to get a sore arm. And I'm like, so when do lawyers, especially ignorant, corrupt ones, decide what is right and wrong in medical situations, especially at that stage in the ball game, right? Yeah. They don't know what they're talking about. So he reserved his decision, which is their normal little scam they do. And I knew they would, because I knew he would grant them the police clause in the order, which means they can break down my door. They can do whatever they have to do, any police force in Canada, to retrieve my daughter. Yeah. So I knew that was going to happen. So he reserves the decision. I wait like an hour, hour and a half. I don't hear anything. Because I'm self-represented, they're supposed to contact me right away by email when he makes his decision. So I call into the Queen's Bench and I ask to speak to the registrar in Regina. And I ask and I say, has there been a decision made? Oh, yeah, yep. And I'm like, well, why wasn't I notified? I'm self-represented. You know that's the way it works. Oh, well, it went to your ex-wife's lawyer, and then we were told that she was going to send it to you. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I call the lawyer's office, Deborah Haid, legal aid. Guess what? It's 11 o'clock in the morning and she's gone for the weekend on a Friday.
Of course.
But not before she sent the court order to the police in Cardiff, which is like 10 minutes down the highway. So I started kind of panicking, knowing that they'd be coming at any minute to take my door down and take my daughter. So I'm been in this a while, this battle over my daughter. So what I did is I filed a notice of appeal. Some people can call that a stay, which stays Justice Lay's order, makes it invalid, and it has to be heard at the Court of Appeal, the next level. Yeah. So I wrote it up quickly because you don't have to put a lot of detail in it, typed it out, hopped in the car, took my daughter, and we drove out of town because I live in a town that has nothing. And we went to get it sworn and faxed to the Court of Appeal. As soon as the Court of Appeal in Saskatchewan receives that fax, that means Justice Lay's order is stayed. The police have no power authority. It's back to the decision of the court. So I did all that. I had a friend email it to the Cardiff detachment of the RCMP so they would have a copy of the stay. And I started driving home. I get about 5 minutes from my house and my phone rings and it's no caller ID. You know, it's the police. And they say, hey, Michael, we're at your house and we're here to get your daughter. And I said to them, I said, nope. I said, I've stayed that court order. You have no authority there. I want you to leave my property or I'll charge you with trespass. And they got really mad. They started cursing and swearing at me on the phone and hung up. And then I didn't go home because I knew well, actually, during that argument on the phone, I should state that I told them what I did. And I gave them the number of the Court of Appeal of Saskatchewan. I gave them the name of the registrar, Amy Gruthaus, and I said, you call her and she'll confirm what I'm telling you. Because they're saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You ain't no lawyer. You know, we know the law, all that sort of stuff.
And if I could too, because you said they were swearing at you. I heard they had basically threatened you as well on the phone, right?
Yeah, and I may be wrong in saying they're swearing at me because it might have been outside when they came back and I was arguing through the window. Because the videos show it. And when I think back, I don't think they were swearing at me, but they were saying, you know, you don't know what you're doing and just questioning my judgment and my abilities, right? Saying that we're here to get your daughter. And I said when it was appealed, they made some really stupid comments because as we all know, most RCMP are stupid people. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. They are not versed in the law, right? Whatsoever. They think they are. And they act because they got a gun and a badge like they are, but most of them know nothing about the law. And they use intimidation and harassment instead. So they making comments on the phone with me that's in the video saying, oh, there is no appeal for this. Yeah, it's a female judge. And she wrote right on the order, no appeals allowed. And I'm like, what a stupid statement. Like the judge is a man, not a woman. And to say that an order from a court can't be appealed or whatever, like it just shows the ridiculousness of what they're doing, right? Yeah. So we have this back and forth. You have the videos there. And what they end up doing is after, 45 minutes or so, they get so frustrated. They're walking and pacing. You can tell they're upset in the videos and they're yelling, you know, come on out, even though I told them I'm not home. And eventually this Constable Dick, D-Y-C-K, and he had a partner, Constable Tsang, a Chinese guy, which is T-S-A-N-G, the two of them. It's like Keystone Cops, you know, Laurel and Hardy. So Dick says, okay, yep, fine. He hangs up his cell phone. You can see it on his dash cam. And he walks towards the truck and he says to his partner, he says, oh, he just gave us permission to break it down. And the other cop says, really? Gave you permission? He goes, yeah, he told us go ahead and break it down. And I'm like, It's just such a ridiculous lie. So he goes to his truck, he gets his battering ram, and they're sitting there fumbling. They don't even know which end of the battering ram to use. And they're like having a discussion about how to use it. Then they break my door down. My dog's in there. He takes off, and the video goes, just silent for a while. It's just faced on my front door. And then Dick comes out with a pellet gun, and he's holding it like this, marching around in front of the camera like he's got an assault rifle. It's a crank pellet gun that's like 30 years old. It's just a joke, right? What they do after that is they put out, they go door to door in my small community, like 150 people, and say I'm wanted on gun charges and abduction of a child. Just spread the fear as strong as you can, right? And I don't even own a gun. I've never owned a gun in my life. And so they did that. And they told everybody I'm wanted on charges. So instead of going home, I went to a friend's house. I hid out for a few days. I contacted the Crown in Regina, the Crown attorney. They wouldn't tell me nothing. They're just lying and deceiving sort of thing. Saying, hey, is there a warrant out for my arrest for guns? And they're like, oh, we can't say. And I'm like, well, how can there be, when it wasn't a gun? But they did. They actually, they say they did. So then I stayed at a friend's house, and then I decided, you know what? I know I'm in the right legally. Yeah. They may try and break down my door, but they would be really, really in trouble if they did, because there is a stay on that order. So we snuck home in the middle of the night a few days later. I think it was the Tuesday after that Friday.
Before we get into that, I would like to show the people you have these videos.
Yes.
And I just think to illustrate how insane, the entire situation that you're dealing with is absolutely insane, that this is happening in Canada, for the record, folks, or happened, and is obviously, this is how these people operate, like with impunity. Let's go to that now. So this is on Michael's Twitter.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go through these videos.
Hey Michael, it's Constant signing with the RCMP. The date is November 26th. That's a Friday. Time is 4:13 p.m. We're at your house. We're outside. We have a warrant for your daughter through the courts. Please open your door so that we don't have to forcefully open your door. Okay? Please come out peacefully.
We're just going to go through these.
I don't know that for sure.
Nope, there's yeah. Can you just make it easier for everybody, and especially for your daughter? We've talked about this before, sir. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, Mr. Jackson. Okay, we're done. We have a minute to go here. Are you a man? Man up. Man up here. And come talk to us. Face to face. Man up. Man up here. And come talk to us. Face to face.
It's tough to watch this, and I'm sure it's difficult for you to watch it as well.
There's one point in there where they admit knowing that talking to each other, they call back to the detachment, and they hear that the actual court order is stayed, and they ignore it.
And you're not home at this time.
And I'm not home.
And
they
so
broke the law.
They're literally talking like you're at home. And then, as you mentioned, it's on purpose because they're performing for their cameras. And they're just doing a performance to make it seem like they're in the right, so that they could probably in the future use fake evidence against you, which is absolutely insane. We're watching that in real time. We'll go back to this disgusting display of drunk on power from our amazing Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
It's not staged. It says directly on there. It's not staged. We're going to stay here, okay? Your front door's going to dump down, or you come here. Okay? Your front door's going to dump down, or you come here. Okay? You're going to get over here. Okay, we're going to find you though. Okay? Okay, bye.
Where is he?
He's hiding somewhere.
In the house?
No?
In the house?
No?
Says I don't know, even though he knows.
Yeah.
He won't.
Oh, over here.
I mean, just incredible. We'll go to another one.
And he says too, he says, it's written right on here. It's not stayed. It says right on here. Like I've seen a lot of court orders in my life. I've never seen one that says it can't be stayed or this is not stayed. Like they're lying. They're completely lying. We all know. Well, I guess after the election, you can tell most people don't know that police are legally allowed to lie. And that's what they do all the time.
This election just legalized lying and fraud, but
yeah.
I mean, we could go on down that road forever. Yeah. It's just disgusting. And it's again, the arrogance to act like this just tells you that they believe they have the right to because they've done it before.
So since he's hiding, that means he's obstructing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true too. I should. Decision is being so appealed. The stay was lifted.
Yeah.
The night.
See there, they just talked about knowing that it's stayed, and they're trying to make up other charges to be able to break in.
Decision is being so appealed. The stay was lifted.
Yeah.
The 19th.
Yeah. So just repeat that again, just in case it didn't get through because of the video there.
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
No, you're good.
They're reading. They're talking to someone and saying the decision has been appealed. They're admitting it, and then they're trying to make up reasons to give them like legal reasons to break in, saying, "Oh, well, he's obstructing justice." And then the one guy says, "Well, what about the danger of his daughter?" And the other cop says, "Well, she's not in danger." And the guy goes, "You don't think so?" And he goes, "No, she's not in danger." Well, of course she's not. They're just looking for a reason to get into my house.
And again, pretending like you're there, knowing you're not, which is just absolutely so incredible. And we're going to go through all these because they're each of them as shocking as the last.
He's not, but he's hiding too. I know. We're here to apprehend his daughter. So would that be a child safety thing too? Okay.
You're obstructing justice here.
Allow us to? Okay, sure. I'll let Derek know.
There doesn't need to be any trouble.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Do it for the sake of your daughter.
Doc says no.
So, I mean, literally.
Do it for the sake of your daughter.
Also, bullhorning that out as if you're in the house. And we'll get into it because you mentioned it before in previous interviews that I've seen. And of course, it's important. But like they're doing this not just performative for their own video evidence to fake later, but for the people in your neighborhood there so that they think, as you mentioned before, that you're a danger. They're constructing a situation that does not exist from beginning to end around the circumstances that you're in order to discredit you, make you look bad, and to as well, of course, give credence to their fake evidence that, again, they're clearly going to be manufacturing after they're completed their illegal entry of your home.
Yeah. I think being accused of obstructing justice is one of the most righteous things in this country you can be accused of. I think if you have an opportunity to obstruct the justice of this country, go for it, because there is no justice in this country. It's so corrupt. So I'm quite happy to be accused of that, even though I wasn't doing it.
Well said. We'll go to the next one here. That is right here.
Do it for the sake of your daughter.
Doc says no. They can't do it for something like this. Yeah, unless he's suicidal or shot one of us.
The child is in danger.
Not really. That's what they said. Not really. Shot one of us.
The child is in danger.
Not really.
The child is in danger.
The child is in danger. Not really.
Not really. That's what they said.
I told him already that we're gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hiding. You can see where he's hiding.
Try calling him again.
You got his number there?
Yeah.
Well, you have it your phone.
So again, acknowledging your child's not in danger, which is quite funny. Even those who are clearly just completely dishonest have a momentary lapse of honesty, thankfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's comical. People should, just for the sake of it, go on my Twitter page, and you'll have to go back a ways through the feed when I posted them. I can repost them again, but if you just watch it from start to finish, I had to post it like in clips like that, not because I'm trying to edit things out or anything, but because I don't have a blue check on Twitter. So I only have 45 seconds, I believe, I'm allowed to post at a time. So that's why I had to do it in spots like that. But just to go back and watch it and listen to the absurdity of what they're saying to each other, and the result at the end when they break the door down and they literally say, the one cop, Dick, says to Sang, "Oh, he gave us permission to break it down." Like, how absurd, right? Like,
Absolutely absurd. We'll play it. We're going to go through the rest of your videos here. And I encourage people who are watching this to go to Michael Jackson's Twitter. It's at God's Offense. You can see all of this. You can watch it yourself as we are watching it here now. But we'll go to our next video.
Okay, we're gonna go. You have 30 seconds now to open the door, or we're gonna open it for you, the front door. You've been warned. Okay. No, how can I believe you? Everything you said to me has not been true. So, well, the main thing is that there's an order and a warrant here for your.
And now he's obstructing.
Okay. No, you don't understand it either. No, you are being rude. You don't understand it, sir. You're a civilian that doesn't understand it. You're trying to act like you know the law. Okay? No, you don't understand it either. No, you are being rude. You don't understand it, sir. You're a civilian that doesn't understand it. You're trying to act like you know the law. Okay?
hey, can you pause there?
I've said this before.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so crucial for people in this country to understand what that degenerate cop just spoke clear as day. You are a civilian and you do not understand the law. That is historic, having a video of a cop saying that, pacing back and forth in emotional distress because they're sociopaths. And he's under stress, you can tell, because he's marching back and forth. He's has no composure whatsoever. You know, a fully properly trained, not that I've ever seen one, but police officer would be calm and cool and collected, as the old saying is. But this guy is showing both of them how just unhinged they are. They're like a bloodlust, and I've done a video that says they have a bloodlust for our rights, for our parental rights, and that shows it. There's nothing going to stop that guy. You know what the end result of this is going to be. But the fact that he says it like that, you're a civilian and you have no idea what the law is, when it's him that doesn't know the law and I do, it's wow. I mean, people really need to wake up and look at stuff like this going on. It's actually scary.
It is absolutely frightening that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can just see, we'll watch that part again because it is so important. And yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. They know he knows he's in the wrong. He's clearly under stress. And again, we'll see, he's just going to do it anyway. And to say that because you're a civilian, you don't know the law, is just asinine in and of itself. And these people are they're evil. I mean,
and there's no warrant. He's saying there's a warrant also. There's no warrant for my arrest. There's only a court order saying that they had the right to come in and retrieve my daughter, which now they don't because I put a stay on it.
Literally. So again, lying on purpose. It's truly incredible, and it's amazing that this footage has been captured, frankly.
Yeah.
Here. And now he's obstructing. Okay. No, you don't understand either. No, you are being rude. You don't understand it, sir. You're a civilian that doesn't understand it. You're trying to act like you know the law. Okay.
Disgusting. We'll go to
Yeah.
the next one. I mean, just truly insane.
Okay, sounds good. So once you get on the phone, you give me permission to knock your door down.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So once you get on the phone, you give me permission to knock your door down. So once you get on the phone, you give me permission to knock your door down.
Before we move on, I mean, he just says you gave him permission to knock your door down. I mean, if you're home, which you weren't, and you were complying now, you would simply open the door. You wouldn't go, all right, Mr. Dick, go ahead, knock my door in that of my house I built. Like, that's just incredible. I mean, could you just briefly comment on that before we continue watching this insane video?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say, because it's just such a power hungry thing. And they just keep saying, like, you know, we're here to get your daughter. We're here to get your daughter. And I mean, like, it's a good way. It's a good thing they're taking away all the ammunition and the rifles from the Canadian people, because it's such a, I don't know what to say, Spencer, to be honest. You know, every time I look at this stuff, I used to get angry and upset and stressed. Now I laugh, because it's just so unbelievable that they get away with that. But the shocking thing is that Canadians re-voted for this. And even this case, you know, that is so blatant and criminal, what they did and how they treated me, the people still aren't paying attention to my case. The people are just like, oh, well, it's not happening to me. So, you know, I'm not going to donate. I'm not going to follow. I'm not going to get involved in this. I mean, I spent 2 years going to court, and, you know, I maybe had 1 or 2 people who were my friends show up, but nothing. You know, you look at the Coots and all these people, there's hundreds of people flocking to the courtrooms for people with questionable things going on. And me, everything's out in the open. It's all honest. It's right there. You can see it, and nobody seems to give a shit. It's
they
hard.
will. I have a feeling they will now, and I won't relent until they do, and I know you won't either. And so this is just, this is what's happening to our country, guys, in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
This is a linchpin in the future of our country. What happens to Mr. Jackson is going to happen to you, right?
Yeah.
This will come to your door, and if we don't do something about it before it's too late, it will be, in fact, too late.
And this is 3.5 years ago, right?
Yeah, 3.5 years ago, by the way, but we're in 2025. So it's thankfully Mr. Jackson has had enough strength and courage to continue, and he needs the support of everyone who's watching this to help him and help us. This isn't about him. Obviously it's about him, but you'll see, if you haven't already, that it's bigger than Michael.
Yeah. This is for all parents and children in our country, this fight. It's exactly what it is. It's about setting a precedent that parents have the right to protect their children, and that the government has fuck all to say about it. I don't swear very often, but literally, it's none of their fucking business, and they have no fucking right to tell you what to do with your children, ever. And if you're allowing them to, then, well, they are. So, you know, it's a hard truth. I'm not going to be nice about it. You're not a loving parent if you're allowing them to do that. You're just not.
I agree. So let's continue to watch this madness, and then we'll go forward with the story that, if you couldn't imagine, somehow gets crazier from this point.
Okay, sounds good. So once you get on the phone, you give me permission to knock your door down.
Yeah. Okay.
He said, well, if you don't have me on the phone, and then he hung up.
So he gave us permission.
really in there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Real time.
You want to tell Prineville? Or maybe
Yeah.
you can stay. We'll go in together here.
180, 186.
I wonder, yeah, making sure you cover on. You want to tell Prineville? Or maybe
Yeah.
you can stay.
Pardon me if I'm catching that off. I mean, the CC picks up, or maybe we can shoot. They're talking about your door.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually heard that part until it was you put that on there. I don't know. But I tell you one thing I do know. If I was home, I probably would have got shot.
I don't doubt it. Let's look at the CC. Or maybe we can shoot. So they think your daughter's in there with you and they're just going to what? Shoot at the door? It's just absolutely insane. These people should, if they haven't already, which I doubt they have, should lose their jobs. These people are unfit for service, unfit for the RCMP, albeit this is the culture of the RCMP. So maybe they're just a right fit. We'll go to the next one here.
Just swing it like right here. Yeah. Like, last chance.
Last chance. You're not home. They know you're not home. Anyway, Jesus, jumping.
Step away from the front door. We're hitting it in. Be careful, there might be a dog.
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah. Michael, it's the police. Come to the door.
He's here. Hey, buddy.
One go coming from the front door. Come to the door.
He's here. Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, as you said it there, doesn't even know how to use it. Right there.
Well, in the last video, and you don't have to go back. They actually have a conversation about forwards or backwards how to use it, but it doesn't matter.
In the one prior to that one?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, Spencer. Honestly, it's just it is what it is. It's just funny.
We'll show the last one there. I guess I missed it there. Pardon me, but we'll show this one.
Yep. I mean, there's not really much more there. That's about it. They come out holding a pellet gun and it's over. So
I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
Let's show them pulling out that pellet gun because
okay, that's
pretending like you got a weapon.
Yeah.
It's clearly a pellet gun.
Oh.
What a stooge.
Yeah.
So there's the video of what you described moments before we watched it, of them pretending like you're home and then subsequently knocking your door down in order to recover you and your daughter, who they know aren't home. So after that situation occurs, what happens next?
Yep. So I just want to add one quick little bit there, that when I was I defended myself at my criminal trial, and I had both those guys on the stand and just caught them lying their asses off. You know, it was just so obviously how, I mean, they're mentally challenged, let's just say, to be nice. But I asked him, I said, so how long have you been a police officer? Oh, blah, blah, 10 years, whatever. And have you had firearms training? You know, you carry a gun. Oh, yeah. How many times have you had it? You couldn't answer that. And then I said, do you not know the difference between a rimfire rifle and a pellet gun? And he couldn't answer. Like, a cop with 10 years experience in rural Canada doesn't know the difference between a pellet gun and a bullet gun. And I think it was all just show, like, you know, that the whole time they're making sure they're in front of that camera and they're saying stuff intentionally to justify what they know they're going to do. They're just making shit up. They're talking to each other saying, oh, he gave you permission? And then he comes back right in front of the car again. So he gave us permission, trying to cover their illegal acts, right? Like to think that anybody would believe that horse shit. But anyways, so yeah, so I come back on the Tuesday, I said, after this all happens, and we decide to take our dog for a little walk. I think I'm secure. I know the stay's in, blah, blah, blah. Whatever they do, I don't care.
Well, but real quick, just before, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but after this, they go around telling your community that there's a warrant and you're at gun charges and for child endangerment, correct?
Yeah, they actually knock door to door and tell people I'm wanted for abducting a child and gun charges, and totally lied. Yeah,
insane. So, pardon me to cut you off. Please continue. That's very important that they're doing. That's what they're doing. So
and they say there was warrants for my arrest, like there, blah blah. And when at trial, they still maintain there was warrants. And I said, can you show me that? Where is that? Oh well, yeah, there was never a warrant. They lied, and they even lied on the stand in court. But I know they can lie to us, but committing perjury on the stand in court, I think, is different. But anyways, so we come home. We decide to take the dog for a walk. We snuck in the middle of the night, kept all the blinds closed. Don't want no attention. We take the dog for around the block. We just go around the block. We don't take long, just in case, right? I get home. I didn't take my cell phone with me. And there's a message from the RCMP, Sergeant Ignatiuk, Ignatiuk. He's the guy in charge in Cardiff, Saskatchewan at the detachment. So there's this message, and I gave it to people, but it's disappeared when I was in jail. But it's basically, hey, we just got a call. We see you're home. So obviously people are thinking I'm a terrorist. So the minute somebody sees me in town, they call the RCMP, right? So it's like, yeah, we see you're home. We just want to let you know we're happy everybody looks good and safe. You're walking the dog, and we're just going to leave you alone. Yeah, the stay is in effect, and we'll wait till see what the court says. 45, not even 45 minutes later, probably 20 minutes later, I hear sirens. You never hear sirens where I live. So you hear sirens and the emergency horn. So going at the same time, like the plus the and I look out my window, I just pop the blind, and they're sitting in my driveway, and then they're sitting at the side of my house. So I think there's two cruisers, and both of them got the, and it's like, I don't know, maybe we went a little later, I don't know, but it's still light out. I think it's like maybe 4 p.m, something like that. And so they come and they just start hoofing the doors, kicking them, banging on them. Come out. There's a warrant for your arrest, blah, 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 blah. My daughter's freaking out in here. And I'm calm, cool, and collected because I know they don't have a warrant. At least I believe they don't. And they end up leaving after about 15 minutes of that. And it's broad daylight, so everybody's seeing this. So then I think it's over again. And then we sit down to supper. We still got all the blinds closed and everything, just keeping it cool. And they come back, this time 3 cruisers and more cops. And the lights are going. It's dark, and the horns and every sirens. And they're kicking. I have 3 entryways into my house. And they're at every door kicking and banging. We have a warrant for your arrest. We're not leaving until we get your daughter. Blah, 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 blah. And I call 911. And I say, listen, I'm in Caryville, Saskatchewan. My name is Michael Jackson. Do you know who I am? And they know me for some reason, some strange reason. They know me, and they know that it's me calling. And I say, listen, there's cops at my door. I'm fearing for my life and my daughter's life. I need assistance immediately. And I said, I need to speak to the man in charge of the division. I think it's F. I'm not sure what Saskatchewan is. I think it's F division, but I could be wrong. So I need to speak to the man in charge in Regina at the head.
And you told them as well that they didn't have a warrant too. You made that clear.
Yes. Yeah, I made all that clear. Yeah. And that they were threatening me and everything else. And so and the 911 tapes are on my thing as well, on my Twitter feed. So they continue, and so yeah, I'm on the phone to 911, and they say, okay, we'll get you some help, sort of thing. I have to explain the story. And then I say, listen, do not, under any circumstances, patch me in to Cardiff Detachment. I make it clear. You can hear it in the thing as clear as a day, as clear as a bell. I say, do not put me in contact with the cops that are at my door or the detachment in Cardiff. Yes, I understand. You know, she gives like her, you know, reply sort of thing. So I wait a few minutes and my phone rings. And guess who it is? Sergeant Ignatiuk in Cardiff mocking me. Hey, I hear you're having some trouble out in Caryville. You need some help? And I'm red, man. I'm lit, right? I'm fucking mad. And I'm really, honestly, if they would have come to the door, I would have died because I would have tried to kill them. I wouldn't have tried to kill them. I would have defended myself to death. I would not have let them take my daughter and got her jabbed. I would have done whatever I had to do. They would have had to kill me to stop me. So I'm just, I'm buzzed. My daughter's freaked out and scared, and I hang up on them. I call back 911 a second time. I say, I want to speak to a supervisor. Blah, blah, blah. You're probably not getting a supervisor. It's like any other complaint thing. They just give you the person beside them. And I say, listen, this is what happened, blah, blah. Oh, she goes, it was a miscommunication. They thought you were asking this or that. It wasn't clear. And I said, bullshit. I was very clear and you're lying and blah, blah, blah. So they hung up. They said to have someone help me. And now the cop outside calls me back. The one beating on the door, Dick, and mocks me. Oh, you're not getting any help, eh? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, and I could have that mixed up. It could have been the cop outside first and then Ignatiuk second. But the fact is they patched me into the cops doing the harassment. And I was actually on I called a friend of mine who was a cop in Regina. And it wasn't a friend. I met him at camp. He was a single father with his daughters. And I kind of trusted. The only time I ever kind of liked the cop in my life. But, and he was saying the same thing. He said, you know what, Michael? He says, you should just open the door because he's a cop, right? But he says, I'm telling you this. He says, if they haven't broke your door down, they don't have a warrant. He said, if they had a warrant, they would have kicked the door in. And I knew that too. Something inside me told me, they don't, right? They're making it up. So they forced me. They said they weren't leaving. They were going to stay there all night and they were going to kick the door in and take her. And they said, unless you call Ignatiuk and have a discussion. So I called Ignatiuk and he says, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I just, had this 30-second conversation and said, I would turn myself in like next week in Regina sort of thing, Whitehead or White City or wherever their detachment is up there. And I just lied to get them out of here. And they left. And then I got served with court documents to go back to court for the appeal because I had it appealed. So now you wait for a hearing to go to the Court of Appeal. And generally that can take a long time. But no, my ex and her lawyer, they want to remove the stay that I put on the court order. So what they can do is they can apply to the Court of Appeal to have the stay lifted, or the thing that I put on there, the injunction sort of thing to stop it. They can apply to have that lifted, which would mean the cops could come back and do it all over again legally. So for that hearing, it was done by phone and it was at the Court of Appeal. And the justice that overheard that hearing was Justice Luer, Leuer, I believe, who, guess what, after he did his dirty or been doing dirty for so long after this case, he got promoted to the Chief Justice of Saskatchewan. Just a coincidence, though. Just a coincidence.
Oh, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah. So we have the hearing, and in the hearing, we're on the phone because of pandemic, and he asked my ex-wife's lawyer, he said, could you not just not do that, jab the daughter for, a month or two, and we can hash this out in court? And they say no. So what does that tell any reasonable person? That the minute she gets my daughter back, she's going to go to the first walk-in clinic she can find, and she's going to stick that needle in there just to hurt me, as a weapon, right?
Yep.
So he reserves his decision, and I book it. I go into hiding because I know what the result is going to be, and I'm not going to be sitting at home waiting for them to come back.
Of course. So, before we get into your time on the run, which is incredible and reads like a movie, as does all of this, I just want to